Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. I am going to talk about the Waldorf Iridium and a couple of things I wanted to start with. Was a little thing. Let me see if I have this up and running. I do. Okay, so Waldorf Nave, which is a VST. Okay, I've had this for many years, and it's compatible with the Iridium. Now I know they have that in the manual somewhere because I did kind of see it, but I don't think they make a big deal out of that. But I think it's really cool because you can take this anywhere, do sound design, and then you can come back and load it into the Iridium. On the iPad, it's a little bit odd that you have to email it to yourself basically, and then you take that file, put it on a USB drive, and then you can load it into the Iridium. Still, it's actually very cool because I took that patch, loaded it into the Iridium, and created it. It sounds like this. Okay, so just a bigger version of that. And I did that using kernels mode. So that's what I also want to talk about. So I got a couple of things. I wanted to mention the um, Waldorf Nave being able to import patches, which is cool, into the Iridium. And then also I wanted to do a quick shout out for Paul on the GS forum because he's the one that pointed this out to me on the Iridium in kernels mode. And I wanted to show it to you. And basically what that is when you go, there's buttons in there, you can init to single, but this init all to out allows you to have 6 kernels, and all 6 of those can be set to wavetables. And you can set those wavetables to different positions and have them affect each other and things like that. And it's like, that is really cool. So that's how I made this patch, and I'm going to walk you through kind of how I did that and show you a little bit about how kernels mode works in this way. Now, kernels mode actually is a lot about setting up different types of algorithms. Very much like a Yamaha DX7, and doing FM synthesis, where you can lay out your operators in an algorithm. So and work with it that way. But I think actually starting off with this is a better way to use kernels mode out of the box. So let me load up, I'll load up one more that I did. It's similar, this was a similar type of patch where it's, and that has the Pro 3 on. Hold on a second, let me turn that layer off. Okay, so I'll play a low note here. Okay, so that's one finger on one note. Can't see my hands, but it's just one finger. And here's the thing, look right here. That's one voice out of 16. So there's 16 voices, and that's just one of them. It's pretty cool. So then you can play, obviously multiple things. Get a lot of stuff going on. I do have to work on, I got to tune the phasing a little bit so I'm not getting too much phase cancellation because there's so much going on in that patch. But let's start with, let me load up an init patch, and then I'm going to show you one part of this that I think is really cool. So let me, I'm just going to do an init on this. So I'll just start like this. And I'm going to go into kernels mode. So I'm just going to do it from the hardware here, and this is what it looks like when it's just initialized. Now what's cool is if I go to the main page, I'm going to go ahead and hit presets, and I made one called wave wide and wave wide 2, and I'll show you what those do. So I load those up, and this is really awesome because these are 5 kind of soft controls. They're macro knobs that you can assign to anything. But what I really like about it, I'm going to edit this and go and look at the patch controls. And what I really like about it is you have top left, top right, center, bottom left, and bottom right. So it's those 5 knobs. But look at like this one I've named panning, right? And you see here, notice that it's K1, K2, K3, K4. So if I start scrolling through these, you'll see it goes all the way down to K6. Those are the 6 kernels. but each one of them has a different offset. So when the panning amount is being applied, they're not all changed the same way. So that's what's cool, is like just like detuning you can do, which if you've done synthesis, you know how simple it is just to take, layer something up and then detune, some of those oscillators to get different effects. Well, within one oscillator, you have 6 of these kernels. They're like smaller oscillators, if you want to think of them that way. And you can have them do some of those same things. So in this case, I have panning, and we go through the ones that I did. So I did detune, and I named these too. WT position, which is wavetable position for each of the kernels. And if I scroll through these, if I go down and take a look at these guys, then you'll also see that the wavetable position is starting in different places. So when I change it, it sounds different. And then I have the center, which is I took had basically have them feed back to themselves to change their own wavetable position, which is what I did. And then the bottom left is panning, which I'll show you, and then the actual wavetable itself. So I put a knob on here that just changed all 6 of the kernel's wavetables. And you'll see this one I didn't offset. I just kept it all the same way. So, well, let's hear some of this stuff because I know I'm talking a lot. Ooh, that's very bright. Let me filter that down so we're hearing. All right. So it sounds pretty plain right now, right? But let me, start to mess with this. Let's get some attack and some release on the envelopes. And I'll do that for the filter as well. Okay. So it's a little better when you start to just, kind of play with it. But now let me change some of these knobs. So let me just hold a couple notes. And then this is detune. So this is all the way back. Let me apply this. Keep that in the middle. And this is wavetable position. This is panning. So you should hear that. That should be very wide. And that should be like just in the middle channel. And then this last one's changing the wavetable. So you find one that's interesting, like you can find something like this and say, oh yeah, that's cool. So now let me show you, I got 2 more tips to go over, and then we'll kind of finish up this voice, and then we'll call that the video. So one thing I really like is when you go to oscillator 2, when you go to control tools, you can say just copy oscillator 1. So all that stuff I just did, now it's in both of them, and now I can hear both of them. And what I like is then now I could say, well, I want to take oscillator 2 and let's move it down an octave. And then let's sculpt it a little bit, finding a different wavetable. There we go. Let's make it not detuned. And let's also keep it the panning like dead in the middle. Let's say it right there. Okay. Sounds kind of interesting. Now let's do the same thing for the third oscillator. So let's go to oscillator 3 and do tools. And let's just copy from oscillator 2. So I just copied this one over to here. Now I copied this one over to here. And let's maybe see what it sounds if I go down one more octave. So we're down 2 octaves. And let me bring that volume of that one down. Let's see. And now let's go to this really low one and let's maybe pick a different wavetable. Wow, Okay, anyway, I'm sitting here playing with this because that's, so it's fun to, and then we could just use the mix to, get how you want those to layer, so you might, some patch here. Let's try bringing oscillator 3 up an octave instead of down 2 octaves, like just to see if we want to just add a bunch of highs in here. Let's do that. Now, we're not going to hear a whole lot until we actually give it some filter. Just do that. There it is. I hear it now. Find a different wavetable. There we go. Some kind of glassy stuff in there. Okay, so that's, now let's add some effects just to finish this sort of idea. I'm just going to add in the default delay and reverb. Just check this out. Not bad, not bad. So you could make all sorts of different, you don't have to make pads. You could make plucks, you could do basses, all sorts of stuff with this technique. But I wanted to show that. And the last thing I wanted to show is you can go to layer 2, because this is like 2 synthesizers in one. And check this out. That's a init patch, right? So I could explore something here. So I could say, oh, well, what if I want to take like the complex modulator, and then I want to map it to, well, let's pick the complex modulator first, then we'll say I want to map it to pitch, and turn that up, and then I'll go to the complex modulator. Maybe let's change the, let's actually mess around with the curve a little bit and increase the speed. Let's try some entropy. And let's say I was trying to, like I was going for something, I'd say, well, that doesn't sound so great. And I could just go in here and say, well, I'm going to init this. So I'm going to hit load and do init. Okay. And then I'll hit load again. So I'm back to an init patch. And watch what happens when I hit layer 1. Right? So I really like having this like parallel scratch pad that you can just go to, try a few things, and then take what you learned and then apply it back to the patch that you're working on. So that's kind of how I've been working with this. All right, so in summary, Waldorf Nave, you can take and make stuff on that and import it. If you have an Iridium and you are, try Kernels mode, but go into Kernels mode and actually just init it so that you get the so that you go in and actually init it so that you get on the algorithm, just hit this button as init alt out, and then you can explore setting up each one of those just in parallel. It's kind of a fun way just to layer synthesis. And then the third thing was the layering thing, which I showed you. So I was just doing that to make sure I got them all in there. All right, thank you very much. Take it easy, and